Never back up. Nigga, if you punch, boom, 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 then move. Whatever punch it is, the last one you move on that side. Alright? Don't ever stay.
What are your thoughts about this fight? I think it's the fight of the year. It's hard for me to pick one, but it's hard for me to pick against Davis. What are your thoughts about this upcoming fight?
See, I kind of lean towards Davis a little. Because of his style of fighting and what makes him different than most fighters that I once did, is when he punches, he catapults himself in the air. And normally in the air, you're out of position, have no leverage. But for some reason, I think Gervonta Davis is probably the greatest fighter around now. But he's got a tough fight coming up. You know, he's the top dog. There's no doubt about it.
Mike Tyson has joined Tank in camp ahead of his fight with Jake Paul. With Mike having fought Jake, he believes Tank needs a change on how he approaches this fight, not in strength, but in mentality. According to Mike, Tank doesn't need more power. He needs control. Jake's not a better boxer, but he's patient and he has good power. So Gervonta has to be ready. According to Tank's coach Calvin Ford, Mike Tyson will be teaching Tank how to deal with a heavyweight and how to beat them.
All these prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tank don't really care, you know. So when I brought this up, he said, dang.
The fight's result for Tyson matters. He has said privately that Paul doesn't fight like a celebrity anymore. He fights like someone who's been in dark gyms for years. That's why he joined Tank's camp, to make sure the younger fighter doesn't underestimate the man across from him. Tyson's approach in camp has been direct and sometimes uncomfortable. He has acknowledged that Tank is surely talented, but a heavyweight fight is just approached different. Kenny Ellis described a moment during sparring when Tyson stopped the entire session after Tank overcommitted on a left hand.
Because he was talking about fighting Joshua, which is heavyweight, and now he's saying about fighting Tank. Nah, this can't be. It's Netflix as well. I need to go and do some checks and see if like the main pages have posted this, but Jake Paul's posted it. It says Friday, November 14th. It's in Atlanta State.
Tyson stepped in and told him, that's how he'll catch you. You lunge, you lose, no yelling, no speeches, just a cold correction that hit harder than any punch. Later that day, Davis reposted a photo of Tyson with the caption, learning from the real one. But not everything has been smooth. People close to both camps say there's tension about strategy. Davis's longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, reportedly wasn't thrilled with Tyson taking such an active role. Ford has been with Tank since the amateurs, and suddenly there's another voice, a loud, legendary one, giving instructions during mitt work.
My only concern is, you know, the gloves. You understand what I'm saying? Because we don't fight in 12-ounce gloves. We don't use 12-ounce gloves. That's training gloves. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's 2 pounds away from Jake. He fights in 10s. Tank fighting 8s. So he losing 4 ounces. So my thing is,
Tyson, for his part, hasn't tried to overstep. He has said, I'm not taking over. I'm just here to pass something on. Whether he listens is up to him. When asked about Jake Paul directly, Tyson said, Jake's strong. He's confident. But he hasn't felt someone like Tank. If Tank listens, this fight won't last long. Still, he emphasized that the danger comes when fighters start believing their own reputation. The crowd doesn't win fights, he said. Discipline does. Control does. I want to see if he can control himself when it's not going his way. However, the stakes for this fight have just skyrocketed after confirmation that both fighters will earn a massive knockout bonus on top of their guaranteed purses. The clause, added just yesterday in negotiations, pays out to whoever scores a knockout, or even a technical knockout, turning what was once billed as a show fight into something much more dangerous. Paul has revealed on a recent podcast that the bonus isn't small money, and hinted that it's large enough to make both guys swing for it early.
I mean, and you know what? PBC has to be called out in this too. They have one of the biggest stars in boxing, and they're putting them in this farcical fight. And they are struggling for survival, PBC. They are just falling apart. You know, the Pacquiao fight did terrible. Terribly promoted. Pacquiao was hardly available. It was just that they were too cheap to hire Pacquiao's normal.
Since then, both camps have been ramping up their intensity and training footage. Paul's clips show him working heavy bag combinations and upper body strength routines, while Davis has been releasing snippets of his trademark counterpunch speed. The knockout incentive has turned preparation into an arms race, not for points, but for pure stoppage power. Insiders close to the event say the new bonus clause was pushed by the promoters to guarantee action. The Atlanta venue sold out within hours, but organizers reportedly wanted to ensure the fight lives up to the hype of a real fight, despite its exhibition label. Adding financial motivation for a finish does that. The bonus applies equally to both fighters, ensuring fairness but also guaranteeing chaos once the first bell rings. With knockouts now tied to an extra payout, every exchange in the ring carries potential financial weight. Tyson's involvement in Davis's camp has only heightened the intrigue. His focus, according to those around the gym, is on teaching Tank how to adapt to heavier opposition and to avoid falling into a slugfest. He's pushing Davis to use precision instead of trading recklessly, but with a knockout bonus this large, that discipline may be tested. Tyson himself acknowledged this tension in passing, saying, "It's easy to chase money. It's harder to stay in control."
Terrible.
Why?
I mean, I get it because at the end of the day, it's a money business, and you want to make the most money. But from what I'm hearing, he can make more money in a fight with me. And if that's the case, why not fight me?
Sure. Do you think he beats Jake Paul?
Do I think he beats Jake? Yeah. I mean,
There's a huge size advantage, though.
it is, but I think Tank got the skill.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi added fuel to the discussion this week, calling the matchup a bit of a circus while still admitting that the knockout clause changes everything. Speaking on Frosh on Fighting, Malignaggi pointed out that since it's officially an exhibition, betting lines are off the table, meaning promoters have to find new ways to keep fans invested. "This is how they do it," he said. "You throw in a knockout bonus, and suddenly everyone's watching every punch like it's the last one."
Bro, you can't be mad at somebody for doing what they feel is best for them.
Will it impact Tank's legacy if Jake Paul were like to beat him or even like knock him out?
Dude, Tank's a 3-division world champion, 4-time 3-division world champion. At the end of it, bro, you can't take anything away from him. Bro.
Malignaggi hasn't held back his criticism. He emphasized that Jake Paul's weight advantage makes the matchup uneven. "Jake's probably 100 pounds bigger than the guy," he said. "If the gloves are small, Gervonta can hurt Jake, but Jake can also hurt him badly." His analysis is particularly interesting because he has framed the bonus not as entertainment but as a genuine risk.
When it comes to Davis, he says in the press conference, what do you say? Just be a fan and watch the fight and enjoy the fight. Enjoy what, bro? You against Uber drivers? I don't want to watch that. You know what I mean? And then you get a guy who gives you a good fight. You don't even give him a rematch. You know what I mean? And then you want to be compared to Floyd. Floyd gave instantaneous rematches. You know what I mean? When guys tested him. I don't know, man. It's whatever, bro. I mean, what am I doing? Is me complaining going to make a difference? No, man. We live in
The idea of rewarding knockouts in a fight where one man is significantly larger, Malignaggi argued, borders on reckless. "If they make it real contact, it could get dangerous," he said, stressing that an exhibition doesn't mean light work when the financial motivation is this strong.
Tank looked very uncomfortable facing off. He just did. I've seen other face-off this Tank done. He gets in their face and they're intense and he looks good. He looked very meager up there. You've had 8 fights and you're going to go tangle with Tank Davis. And the story instantly comes out. Jake is so much bigger. There is such a compliment to Jake within that insult. It is meant to be an insult. It is meant to take away from a potentially glorious...
Meanwhile, controversy continues outside the ring. Lamont Roach, who was supposed to get a contractual rematch with Davis, has now publicly blasted Team Tank for bypassing their agreement in favor of the Jake Paul payday. Roach has revealed he never received any step-aside money despite Davis earning a reported $40 million for the exhibition. "He's got to go and fight and get this money and I'm not supposed to get anything?" Roach said in an interview with Ring Champs. "If I was in his shoes, I would have called me. I'd have said, 'We're taking this fight. Here's something to step aside.' But they didn't even pick up the phone."
Look at this face-off, Henry. What are your thoughts here?
You're hearing that shit from me. That's cringe. In some weird way, I kind of like it. About it. He's trying to big man the smaller guy, who the smaller guy to me is dangerous. I think Tank Davis is going to put their hands on him, but I like it, bro. I will say something about Jake Paul. He's brought a lot of attention to boxing. Tank Davis guaranteed $40 million.
If you were in that position, would you fight Jake Paul?
Oh, hell yeah. You got to get Jake.
Roach's frustration is understandable. He's now booked to fight Isaac Pitbull Cruz in December. A solid bout, but nowhere near the payday Davis is about to collect. Roach estimates that even a $4 or $5 million step-aside payment would have made sense given the circumstances. It's just respect, he said. You don't walk off a contract for $40 million and pretend like nobody else was part of it.
Man, I'm thinking about, Bigfoot versus Littlefoot. Andre the Giant versus Wee Man. Man, this is gonna be better than damn Circus on Lake. Yeah, they gonna look weird as hell in the ring together, man. You see how big Jake Paul is? 200 plus pounds? Man, I don't understand it. I don't get it. Yeah, the circus continues. This is why I can't stand damn Jake Paul.
For Davis, the backlash doesn't seem to have slowed him down. His camp insists everything is within legal bounds, arguing that the Paul exhibition is separate from his previous obligations under standard sanctioning contracts. The WBA's silence so far suggests the commission is choosing not to intervene, further underlining that this fight operates in its own commercial bubble.
What do you think of Jake Paul, Gervonta Davis? I know on Instagram you called it a circus.
Yeah, this is boxing is slowly turning into the WWE. That's what I think.
Does Tank Davis have a chance?
Yes, but
yeah?
I don't even want to talk about it. Don't ask me a question like that.
Yeah, right.
Both fighters are leaning into the marketing. Paul, ever the provocateur, joked on a live stream that he'd buy a Rolls for the guy who sets up the knockout bonus. Davis hasn't fired back publicly, but posted a short clip of his sparring session captioned, "Don't blink." His focus, by all accounts, is sharper than ever. Those around him say Tyson's influence has him drilling head movement and compact counters, the kind that could end a fight suddenly.
It's entertainment. It's entertainment. Both guys are getting paid, and at the end of the day, anybody can say what they want to say, but at the end of the day, this game is about getting checks, and that's what they're doing. You know, it's entertainment. I'm pretty sure after this fight, Gervonta is going to go back to fighting fighters, and then Jake Paul will fight like a fighter. But I think
Even with tank training with Mike, there are still a lot of pros who think this won't help. Former Jake Paul opponent Tyron Woodley was one of the first to speak out. He's not dismissing Davis's skills, he's warning him. Speaking to Fruity King, Woodley said plainly that Gervonta Davis has to take Jake seriously. He's seen what happens when fighters underestimate Jake Paul, and he doesn't want Tank to learn that the hard way. For a fighter that's on Tank's level to go into a fight with somebody that, on paper, has not even had the amateur career he had, let alone the professional career, he needs to take him seriously, Woodley said. Jake has the motivation to prove people wrong.
Who is literally 100 pounds lighter than him. Good job, Jake. Jake Paul is 235 pounds. Tank Davis is barely 130. Jake Paul also has 8 inches on him. Yeah, just another big name money grab, not a real fight from Jake Paul. Now, the other money grab doesn't like real fight guys. Tank Davis famously refuses to fight anyone good. Has always been 3 other champions in his division, has never fought any of them.